Well, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised to find out that Cobra had some dealings with Diamond. Here's your look at the Diamond Select Legends in 3 Dimensions G.I. Joe Destro 1/2 scale resin bust. A brilliant businessman, weapons developer, CEO, and engineer, Destro strictly adheres to a quiet personal code that places war, profit, and the success of his own family above all other things. He excels at brokering deals, clandestine negotiations, and double-cross missions. The refined and highly advanced weaponry produced by his company Mars Industries continues to reshape modern warfare. This approximately 10-inch tall half-scale bust of Destro is based on his appearance in G.I. Joe, the Real American Hero. It features high level of detail and exacting paint applications and is limited to an edition of only 1,000 pieces. Well, if he's already able to dominate the weather, then dominating your statue shelf would be an easy task for noble Destro. Just before, of course, we get a closer look at the Legends in 3 Dimensions half-scale resin bust of Destro, I'd like to thank the folks over at Diamond Select that did provide this sample we could have a look at. Good news for G.I. Joe fans is that Destro is currently available either in specialty comic book stores locally, or if you have no luck to find him in either, you can also order this guy online. Destro is going to stand at about 9.5 inches in height, or the statue's about 24.5 centimeters tall. Well, I'm sure you know by now, to come include with these statues, you do get yourself a certificate of authenticity, which I just had off to the side. Actually, usually when I have these displayed on my shelf, if I have enough space available, I like to usually put the certificate along with it. I, though, made the grave mistake once of actually having one too close to sunlight. It was just shining down from my window and ended up fading my certificate. Certificate is still fine, but unfortunately it's really hard to make out the number. In this case, the number from Destro out of the limited run of 1,000 is 434. Certificates aside, Destro here is presented with just the top half of his body. As the case with Legends in 3 Dimensions, these are busted characters. So what you're only really getting is just a V cut of both the shoulders and a little bit of the front of the torso. But for Destro, it works really well because he also has that trademark Cobra collar behind him. Something I also thought was very clever, as they usually do with Legends in 3 Dimensions, is they find a way to integrate character traits into the actual display stand that the bust sits on top of. Destro is no different. If you actually carefully look at the statue's base, if you had the original vintage toy, which I think this is where they got the inspiration from, Destro had on his forearm a silver bracelet, and then on that was actually missiles that he'd be able to fire off. I wonder if they took some inspirational cues from that original vintage toy, because I definitely get that vibe when I'm looking at the actual base. All the nicely colored missiles, you get actually 4 of them painted here in red, and they're very nicely sculpted. On the back of it, though, if we carefully spin this around, he seems to also have himself a couple of grenades, although unlike the missiles that are painted in a flat red, these are actually been gifted instead a metallic red. I do like the way that the back of the base is sort of curved in like this, treated as well to a Cobra logo. It sort of in a way looks like a throne, either that Cobra commander's been sitting in, or has been dethroned by Serpentor. Carefully picking up the statue and flipping it upside down, you can also see as well, like with the certificate, you get the same number here that's been signed in out of the limited run of 1,000 pieces. As always the case as well, you get yourself a couple of rubberized feet, not only to prevent the scratching on whatever surface you have the statue on, but also as well with just the amount of lip that they give you, it prevents this number from wearing away. If you ever decide down the road that you want to sell this, not that I would ever consider selling Destro as cool as he actually looks. If we look at the actual front of the figure's face, while he isn't being gifted in chrome, which is one thing I really kind of wish it could have had, I don't know how difficult it would have been to chrome a resin. Resin would be a little bit harder of a material to do. They've done at least the next best thing, as they painted Destro in this exquisite metallic silver. Some of the details, like for his furrowed brow, the areas around his nose, for example, have all been additionally added with a little bit of a darker wash to bring out some of those details. And like both in the cartoon, the comic, and everything that's attached to Destro, he normally would have large black eyes and little green pupils. They aren't so little either. I mean, they're actually a little bit larger than I was expecting. I couldn't help but also notice, too, that when you're looking at Destro, his one eye, this eye, is looking straight at you. But kind of like Eric Draven Legends in 3 Dimensions we looked at before, one eye is kind of wandering off to the corner. It isn't as jarring, perhaps, as the crow one that we looked at before, and especially if you're going to be spinning the statue sideways, then it looks like he's sort of giving you a side eye. It's a really nice-looking head sculpt, though. It's bolted down below, so of course it's part of his head. And then down below, he also has himself that little ruby stone necklace. I do like that they've used translucent, and I would imagine it's still resin, but they've done it in translucent red, and they've actually given them a real working chain. This is permanently attached, but you want to be careful that you don't snag this moving this around, and you definitely don't want to cause any damage to the chain, whether it's real metal or not. Of course, you do have the collar there on the back. The thing I really like about the collar, though, is it sort of serves as a parallel line to the way they've cut off the shoulders. Again, with the Legends, you're only getting the bust, but the bust for Destro, you have, again, like that V cut. But again, I love the way that the collar is sort of parallel to that. It really gives you a nice form when you're looking at it from the front. Nice paint by the way they've done the lower torso, kind of giving him kind of more of an off yellowish color, somewhat of a beige. And then they've also added slightly warmer tone to that as well, just to accent some of the musculature in the middle of his chest. If we spin the statue around, there's not as much going on from the back. Obviously, they still took the time to add nice wrinkles. Again, the muscles on the back of his body, and even sculpted in the seam line for the back of his collar. If you look really closely, too, even stopping, they took the time to add a stitch line all the way around the outer band of it. So even though he is really more rooted in the comics, they added still a sense of realism to the way that his outfit would actually have been sewn together. Yeah, it's a nice looking Destro. Again, I have to wonder, would it have been possible that they could have done this in chrome? Could they have been an option where, I don't know enough about resin to know, can you go in there and chrome resin? I would imagine one of the risks that would be with chroming something, that it would probably start to flake. If it was banged, if it got scuffed up at all, maybe even painting it in silver was the better bet to go with. The silver is still nicely done, and I think as a whole, the colors are matching that to what we would expect to see Destro in the cartoon. I love, again, like the little nod that they added down below here, which, again, was it a reference to the original toy? I really hope it was, because that was clever on Diamond's part to incorporate those little armband missiles that he has on his forearms. It's a really nice looking statue. It's not the only, in fact, Legends in 3 Dimensions that Diamond has tackled when it comes to the G.I. Joe franchise. They have also released a Storm Shadow, and I think they've also released a Visor Snake Eyes. Definitely, though, if basing it from what we've only seen alone here with Destro, if it's on the same level of sculpting and paint, as a G.I. Joe fan, you definitely would want to pick these up. Prior to Diamond actually providing this sample of Destro, I had actually checked to 2 of my local comic book store in the hopes that I would find the Legends in 3 Dimensions Destro, not just to review him, but also for my personal collection, being a big G.I. Joe fan myself. In both the cases, it yielded the exact same results. Going and asking the person that worked there, I said, hey, you have the Legends in 3 Dimensions Destro? And honestly, both of their answers were exactly the same and almost verbatim, no, we don't have them. Now, no, we don't have him may have mean that we either had ordered him at one point and he had sold out, or we just never ordered them. With only just getting, no, we don't have them, I had no idea if they ever stocked them in the first place. That's 2 of the stores. Had I gone to the other store that I never go to, the answer would have even been briefer from the guy that would have given it. He would have just said, nah. Honestly, he would have just said, nah. Good news, though, is if you are a G.I. Joe fan who would like to get your hands on the Destro Legends in 3 Dimensions statue, you don't have to go to a store where the guy just says, nah. What you can do, though, instead, because of the time this guy's been around for, he has gone on sale with a couple of the online sites. Most of the time, they have sold him at $179.99. If you can still find this guy in stock, he's actually selling either at like $125 to $130. So they have marked him down. Again, if you guys are interested, he is resin, so that's one of the reasons why he's going to be a little bit more. But again, if you are a big G.I. Joe fan, definitely worth picking up. Big thank you once again to the folks over at Diamond Select that, had I known, I probably would have saved myself the time of going to a local comic book store. But we're nice enough to, again, provide the sample, the Legends in 3 Dimensions Destro, that we had the chance to have a look at this review. Have you guys already picked up this one for yourself? Or have you picked up any of the other G.I. Joe Legends in 3D statues? Let me know down below. If you guys, in the meantime, did enjoy this video, I want to throw it a like. If you guys are loving the content and would like to certainly stick around for more, hit that subscribe button down below, turn on the bell notification. And of course, the most important thing, knowing is half the battle. Know that you have to come back here on a regular basis because there's always new content coming your way. In the meantime, though, you want a little more content? Okay. Popping up in one corner will be a statue review playlist. On the other corner, on the adjacent end of things, will be all the reviews I've done for Diamond. So if you have a little bit of time on your hands, not that I'm going to push you in the direction of a playlist, but feel free to give those playlists a gander. Definitely going to be having some more statue reviews coming your way in the pipeline. So, of course, keeping your peepers peeled. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.